How's everybody doing today? Today is our pro series on social media. So earlier in the week, I told you about the social networks that you needed to be on. One of them I definitely forgot because I just assumed that every professional is on there, is LinkedIn. So today we have Brian Rosenblatt. Here, he's a digital marketing director. Manager.
There you go.
Sorry, it's tongue twister. It's early. We're going to talk a little more in depth about the 5 social networks that the 4 we talked about earlier in the week, and LinkedIn as well. So Brian, let's just get right into it with Facebook because that's obviously the big fish in the sea.
Definitely. I think Facebook, the biggest thing is that people look at it as a publishing tool rather than a sort of friend connector tool.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So I recommend actually getting in and getting involved with people in your network rather than just pushing stuff out.
Okay.
So a good way to do this and an easy way to do this is just tagging people in articles that you see are relevant to them. Don't want to do it too much to be spammy, but if it reminds you of them, it's a nice way to just stay in touch as another reminder of, hey, just thinking about you.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. Another thing is to make Facebook really part of your daily routine. I think we all check Facebook several times a day.
Absolutely.
Like me.
It definitely kills half of my iPhone battery almost every day.
But sometimes it's worth it, and you can make that actually work for you in sort of a business way. So if you're on there, start actually liking things, start actually commenting on things, rather than just being a passive viewer, which I think a lot of us do, is just we're viewing and not really actually engaging with the network.
You know, in that realm, one thing that I think is real important, I've actually had success at it recently, is taking it one step further to community group pages.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pages, and in some neighborhoods there's multiple. I recently got a listing just from being active on a local community page, and now I've sold it at record prices, and obviously I'm going to use social media to present that. But I think expanding a little bit further, because there's huge sub-networks even within Facebook.
Yeah, that's I don't think it's a new thing. I think back in the day, Facebook groups were really big, and then they sort of died down, and then they revamped how they reformat them and how people join groups. And you see the huge resurgence. So there's gigantic groups on Facebook for individual neighborhoods, for individual networks. I live in Sunnyside, Queens. There's like a 7-train group of over, I think they're at 2,000 people. And it's this massive community of people like letting each other know when the trains aren't working, the problems that are happening, and it's a real community of people actually engaging. It's kind of amazing to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else in the Facebook realm?
Just remember to add more friends consistently. I think people do this a lot of times when they first sign up for a network or when they join the business as a realtor. But remember, you can always link your contacts anytime. So it's nice to do every once in a while, especially because hopefully you're always adding contacts to your network. Just sync it up every once in a while. They make it a little bit difficult, but you can actually upload a CSV file or an Excel file of your contacts and link them up.
Right, and one thing that I learned from having a conversation with Brian, and this is more if you have a business page, is that you can actually take your contact list, you can pull your resources from everywhere that you have them, put them in one file and upload it to Facebook, and then you can actually target specifically the people on those lists because those are the people that are already in your sphere.
Yeah, so it's a really good way just for another point of contact. A lot of people jump into Facebook advertising and don't really know where to go because there's so many options or there's sort of vague territory, and people say, oh, I want to target people in the New York area, but that doesn't really help. So if you're targeting people who actually are in your network,
right,
it just makes more sense. It's more effective.
Absolutely. It's people that already know your face.
Yeah.
Okay. I know when we talked before, you had some tools that you wanted to discuss that you think are really great and that everybody needs to use and are very inexpensive.
Yeah, so there's apps, even for $1, there's a lot of online tools, and I find a lot of stuff just by Googling myself.
Okay.
So it sounds stupid, but just like Gift Maker or Best Animated Video Maker. And I've found a lot of really amazing tools that way.
Okay.
Tools where you don't have to know Photoshop or InDesign to make nicely designed stuff.
Right.
So some of them, Pablo, which is actually by the company Buffer, which is a social media publication tool.
Okay.
I find that a lot of times, either content publication tools or analytics tools, they also offer upgraded sort of design tools. Pablo was one of them, Over and Canva, and these are basically ways to overlay text and graphics on images, but they look really good. It doesn't look like you made it in PowerPoint or you made it like in Paint.
Right.
They actually look like professionally designed images.
If any of you have ever seen me using my son for social media, saying call my daddy or any of those, I actually use Over for all of those ads.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from.
And usually it's simple. It's like 2 steps, 3 steps in the process.
Yeah,
and you can make
very
sure
easy.
It looks.
So now let's talk about Instagram. Talk to me about it.
Definitely. I like Instagram because you can post a little bit more frequently than some of the other networks. I think it's kind of acceptable on there. It's going to be a big game changer that they threw in the Instagram Stories feature, which is basically just Snapchat on Instagram.
Right.
And I think there's been a big trend to go more towards like narrative in social media, where you showcase what you're doing throughout your day, and to really use that as an opportunity to sort of make a story around your day and what you're doing.
Okay. What else on Instagram should people be doing?
So there's a couple things to get the most amount of exposure on each of your Instagram posts that not everyone always does. One thing is to be really specific with your location. So always tag a location, say where you're at. If you're at City Habitat's office, don't just say Gramercy, don't just say New York, but tag it as specific as possible.
Okay.
The next thing, which is a nice opportunity to engage with clients also, is to actually tag people in the post. So if you're with another client and you take a selfie together, or if there's an amazing roof deck you're on, is to actually engage with them, see if they're on Instagram in that opportunity, and see if you could tag them in it.
Okay.
And it shows
That
the
is a great
client
idea.
that you're actually active in social media, and it's a nice way to just connect with them on another sort of personal level, to make it a little bit more casual than just this buttoned-up professional relationship.
Okay.
And then the third thing, obviously, is hashtags.
Hashtags.
That's
right.
the big question. People don't know what to do, how
Right.
many. I recommend 4 to 5 hashtags usually.
Okay.
I particularly weave them into the copy of what I'm writing, so it's a little bit more natural rather than loading them in all at the end. But people do different things. Sometimes people write their caption and then the next comment lead a whole trail of hashtags.
Okay.
But I think also the more specific the better. If you're at a specific location, or especially if you're at an event where there's an official event hashtag,
Right.
it's a nice way to actually engage with people at the event. Maybe you'll find some people you ran into that you didn't catch their business card. It's just another opportunity to engage.
That's a great call. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about Snapchat briefly. Let's talk a little more about Snapchat. So,
Definitely.
what do you think about Snapchat? The longer term viability of it because of its now threat from Instagram. Talk to me a little bit about Snapchat.
Definitely. I'm curious to see where it goes because a lot of people still are on Snapchat. It had a huge surge of growth when it first came onto the scene. The problem is it's a little bit more private than other networks, so they have a bit of a discoverability problem as opposed to the super public Facebook. Even the fact that you can Google someone's Facebook page and pull it up on a desktop, I think that's a big thing, and Instagram too.
Right.
Whereas opposed to Snapchat, which is exclusively on your phone.
Correct.
So it's a little bit more difficult, even just to get people to engage with it, and from a reporting standpoint too, from the sort of marketing analytics side, it's not as easy to measure as some of the other networks.
Okay. All right. And what do you like about Snapchat?
I do like that you can actually get really creative with your snaps and your stories, either with the filters, even the stupid things like putting filters on your face,
Okay.
or things like geolocation tags or event tags. I just find that people are a little bit more creative and sort of funky with what they're doing on there.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about YouTube.
Definitely.
So, YouTube has been around for a long, long time. Obviously, they're owned by Google. And what are you seeing in YouTube land?
I think if you're definitely a Google sort of power user, so I use Gmail a lot on the personal end, obviously. It plugs into that and it gives you a lot of nice features to be able to sort of use it and maximize your network. YouTube, the biggest thing is that people aren't using it as a social, well, people are using it as a social network, but a lot of people don't think of it that way. They
Okay.
think of it only as a publication tool.
Right.
But you have your main channel page and you can fill it out with as much information as you want. You could brand it, and then actually sort of curate or pick out videos from other people's channels that you like. So you can make different channels of similar videos to yours or sort of in your sphere and pick and choose what you want to showcase to your audience.
So anybody that may not be producing content right now, what do you suggest for them?
If you do want to jump into the game, just keep it short, keep it simple. Minute, 2 minute long videos of things that are really interesting and sort of engaging. I just always go off of what other people are doing first. So find what you are interested in, find
Right.
what sort of captures your eyes and base it off of that. Because if someone's successful in the past, then
Right.
mimic them.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is being unique.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm not really a suit and tie kind of guy, and you may see me in a suit and tie every now and then, but I feel it's being real. It's the random, real color of who you are that separates you.
I think that's what it is. You want to showcase your personality. Not everyone has a personality to be on camera or to be even just doing social media in general, some people are just more reserved.
Right.
But for the right person, it can make all the difference in the world. And I find sometimes it's funny that some of the shyest people and some of the people who you would never know, they kind of show their true colors online
Okay.
or in digital.
So let's talk about LinkedIn.
Definitely. LinkedIn obviously just bought out by Microsoft, and it's a huge opportunity for people to connect sort of on the professional level. A lot of people set it up and sort of leave it there as their resume online and never really touch it again.
Very true.
But I think it's a good place to check out. You're probably not going to be checking it out as often as maybe Facebook or Instagram, but even once or twice a week, it's a really good platform to sort of engage in your sort of professional side.
So what should people be sharing because it's different? It's more of a professional network there.
Yeah, definitely less listings focused. So whereas it's acceptable to post listings on Facebook every once in a while, you're gonna veer towards talking more about the market data, about even just things like this, even professional tips for real estate agents
Right.
to engage sort of with that broker community. I think that's a nice way to launch off on LinkedIn.
Okay. And as we wrap, is anything in summation that you wanted to share?
I think the biggest thing is just using social media as a tool to engage with actual other people. So not just pushing your own stuff out, but when you are flipping through Facebook on your phone or just whenever, just actually liking people's stuff, commenting on people's stuff, sharing other people's stuff, and you'll sort of see the love come back to you if you sort of engage with it that way, rather than
Def-
just talking about yourself constantly.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us.
Definitely.
As always, if you have any suggestions or comments, please post them in the comments below. If you would like, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and I think that's it. Have a wonderful day, everybody.